What if I told you that moving into a nursing home wasn't the solution I expected? In fact, I regret my decision. And today, I'm going to share 6 difficult truths that no one warned me about beforehand. I've been living in a nursing home for X months, SL years. When I first arrived, I believed it was the right choice. After all, nursing homes are supposed to provide care, comfort, and support, aren't they? But my experience has turned out to be quite different from what I had imagined. In this video, I'll be sharing my personal journey, the lessons I've learned, and the realities of nursing home life that no one ever told me about. If you're considering this option for yourself or a loved one, you'll want to hear these 6 truths before making a decision. So let's get started. This might completely change how you view nursing homes. Truth number 1, loss of independence. One of the biggest challenges I've faced since moving into the nursing home is the feeling of losing my independence. When I first arrived, I didn't realize just how much control I'd be giving up over my own life. At home, I was used to making decisions every day about what I ate, when I ate, and how I spent my time. But here, everything is predetermined. Take meal choices, for example. At home, I could go to the kitchen and make whatever I felt like. Maybe a bowl of soup for lunch or a salad if I wasn't too hungry. Here, meals are served at set times and the options are very limited. You don't get to pick what you want from a menu. They give you what's prepared for that day, and that's it. If you're not in the mood for chicken, too bad because chicken it is. It may seem like a small thing, but when you're used to choosing your own food, it can feel like you've lost an important part of your autonomy. It's not just meals, though. Visitors are another thing that's controlled. At home, I could invite friends and family over whenever I wanted or head out to meet them at a cafe. But now visiting hours are restricted. And it's not just about the hours. It's about needing permission for certain things. Some days I might feel like going for a walk outside, but I have to check with staff to see if it's okay or if they're available to assist me. I don't have the freedom to just go out and do it on my own like I could before. Even simple activities like watching TV or reading are limited by a schedule. They have daily routines for everything. And while that might be necessary for some, it can feel like you're constantly following someone else's clock. It's a constant reminder that you're not in control of your time, and that's something I never thought I'd miss so much. The hardest part of this loss of independence is the feeling of being dependent on others. In a nursing home, you need help with a lot of basic tasks, and that's something I never thought I'd experience at this stage of my life. It's humbling, but it also makes you realize how much freedom you take for granted when you're living on your own. All of these little moments add up, and before you know it, you realize how much you've given up in terms of personal control. I never imagined how hard it would be to have my day planned out for me and to feel like I'm living according to someone else's schedule. If I had known the extent of it, I might have made a different decision. So if you're considering moving into a nursing home, think about how much independence you're willing to give up. It's a bigger adjustment than most people expect. Truth number 2, isolation from loved ones. Another hard truth I've come to realize is just how difficult it can be to stay connected with family and friends once you're living in a nursing home. Before moving here, I didn't fully understand how challenging it would be to maintain those meaningful relationships. Sure, I thought about visits and phone calls, but what I didn't account for were the obstacles that come up day after day. First of all, there's the distance. If my family doesn't live close by, they can't just pop in for a quick visit like they used to. Even though I might look forward to seeing them, the logistics of getting together can be tricky. They may live far away, and it can take time to arrange transportation. Plus, they have their own busy lives, work, family commitments, and everything else. So even though they want to visit, sometimes weeks can go by without seeing anyone in person. On top of that, the nursing home itself can be a barrier to staying connected. While most places allow visitors, there are restrictions, especially when it comes to visiting hours, the number of visitors allowed at once, or even who can visit at all. There are times when I've wanted to see someone, but either it wasn't the right time or they couldn't make it due to those rules. Sometimes it's hard to even get a private moment with a visitor in such a public setting, and that can make you feel like you're just another face in the crowd. It's not just about the physical distance, it's the emotional distance too. Even though I'm surrounded by people here at the nursing home, staff, other residents. It's not the same as being with loved ones who know you well. Sure, you can chat with people, but the connection isn't the same as sharing memories, laughter, or deep conversations with family and friends who have known you for years. That emotional support, that comfort of feeling truly seen and understood, can be hard to find in a nursing home setting. And that brings me to something no one really talks about: loneliness. Even when you're physically surrounded by people, there's this underlying sense of isolation. You may have people around you, but not the ones you've built a life with. This loneliness can be overwhelming at times, even if you're in a facility where they encourage socializing. It's easy to feel like you're just existing rather than truly living, especially when your social interactions don't carry the same depth as before. The truth is, living in a nursing home can make you feel more isolated than you ever thought possible. The good intentions of family and staff are there, but sometimes it's just not enough to fill that gap. If you're considering moving into one, think about how it might impact your connection to the people who matter most. It's a tough reality that no one really prepares you for. Truth number 3, the stigma of nursing homes. One of the hardest truths I've come to realize is the stigma that still surrounds nursing homes. Unfortunately, society has a very specific view of nursing homes, and it's not always a positive one. People often associate nursing homes with aging, illness, and decline, and while that's sometimes true, it doesn't capture the whole picture. The truth is, when you live in a nursing home, you start to feel the weight of these societal views, and it can be tough. It's strange how people's attitudes change once they know you're living in a nursing home. Before moving here, I was just a regular person, someone with a life, with friends, with family. But once I became a resident, something shifted in the way others saw me. Even friends or extended family members can treat you differently once they know where you live. There's this immediate assumption that you're fragile, that you can't do the things you once could, and sometimes even a sense of pity or discomfort. It's as if people suddenly start to treat you like you're incapable, or as though your life has somehow ended just because you live in a facility designed for care. The worst part of all this is how it affects your sense of dignity. Being treated with less respect or having your abilities underestimated can be deeply demoralizing. It's hard to maintain your sense of self when people look at you through the lens of aging or frailty rather than who you are as a person. It's not just about physical limitations. It's about the psychological toll of feeling invisible, reduced to a stereotype. There's a certain power in how society views you, and that power can chip away at your dignity over time. Even when you try to assert your independence or make choices for yourself, it can feel like you're constantly fighting against these assumptions. It becomes a battle to remind others, and sometimes even yourself, that you are more than just your circumstances. This stigma can be isolating, and it can leave you questioning your worth, especially when others around you seem to treat you as if you're less than you used to be. Living in a nursing home can often feel like you've stepped into a social category that you didn't choose, and it's a label that can be difficult to shed. So if you're considering moving into one, it's important to think about the emotional impact this stigma might have. It's not just about the physical care, it's about the mental and emotional toll of constantly fighting against the narrative that society has built around nursing homes. This can be one of the hardest things to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Truth number 4, quality of care is not always what you expect. When I made the decision to move into a nursing home, I had an expectation that the care I would receive would be top-notch. After all, it's a facility specifically designed to provide the support and attention that people need as they age. But what I've learned along the way is that the reality of care in nursing homes can be a lot more complicated, and it's not always what you expect. One of the biggest challenges is staffing shortages, and that can have a huge impact on the quality of care you receive. Like many nursing homes, the one I live in faces challenges with keeping enough staff on hand. This means that, at times, care can feel rushed. There are moments when I've had to wait much longer than I expected for help with simple tasks. Whether it's getting assistance to the bathroom, having my medication delivered on time, or even just getting a question answered. It's not that the staff aren't trying their best, but with limited resources, it's clear that the care they can provide is stretched thin. They're often juggling multiple residents at once, and that can result in care being less personalized and, at times, a little hurried. I've also observed that the quality of care can be inconsistent. Some staff members go above and beyond to make sure I'm comfortable and have everything I need, while others seem to be just going through the motions. For example, there have been days when my meals weren't served as expected or my room wasn't cleaned thoroughly, things that are easy to overlook in the hustle and bustle of a busy facility. On those days, I can't help but feel like I'm just another number in a system rather than an individual receiving the care I deserve. This inconsistency can leave you feeling frustrated and, at times, even a bit neglected. It's important to acknowledge that the level of care you receive can vary greatly depending on the facility you're in. Some nursing homes are better funded, better staffed, and better equipped to provide the care residents need. But the reality is that many are struggling and the system is stretched thin. That's something that isn't often talked about before making the decision to move into one. While some places might offer exceptional care, others might fall short, and you might not know until you're already there. For me, this has been a tough pill to swallow. I expected nursing homes to be places where I could rely on the staff to meet my needs with consistency and compassion, but that hasn't always been the case, and it's something I've had to adjust to. If you're considering this option for yourself or a loved one, it's crucial to ask tough questions about staffing levels and care quality before making the decision. Because while nursing homes are supposed to offer comfort and security, the reality of care can be unpredictable. And that's something no one tells you when you walk through the door. Truth number 5, a constant reminder of aging. One of the most difficult truths about living in a nursing home is how constantly it reminds you of your own aging and mortality. When you're surrounded by people who are older, sicker, or in a state of physical or mental decline, it's impossible to avoid the stark reality of the aging process. In a way, it becomes a daily reminder that this could be where you're headed to, and that's something that can be hard to come to terms with. At home, I could still live my life and engage in activities that kept me feeling young and vital. Going for walks, attending events, spending time with people who were active and healthy. But here, the environment is different. Many of the residents are much older than I am, and some are dealing with serious health issues that make them dependent on others for even the most basic tasks. When you see others struggling to move, speak, or even remember simple things, it's a constant reflection of what time can do to the body. It can be a bit overwhelming at times, especially when I start thinking about my own future. The psychological impact of being surrounded by decline is harder to ignore than I expected. There are moments when I start to feel like I'm no longer part of the active, vibrant world I used to know, even though I'm still capable of many things. I can't help but feel like I'm slowly becoming a part of a cycle I'd rather not acknowledge. Seeing others who are experiencing these changes up close can make you feel as though you're inevitably moving in the same direction. It can make you question how much time you have left to live life fully, and that can weigh heavily on your mind. This constant exposure to aging can lead to feelings of depression or anxiety. It's hard to keep a positive outlook when you're surrounded by the harsh realities of old age and illness every day. And while it's natural to age, being in a nursing home can sometimes make you feel like you're no longer part of the world you once knew. It's easy to start seeing yourself as just another old person and forget the full potential you still have. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, it's important to consider how this environment might impact your mental health. It's one thing to age gracefully, but when your surroundings constantly remind you of your decline, it can be a struggle to maintain a sense of peace and purpose. The reality of aging is inescapable, and it's something I never anticipated having to face quite so directly. Truth number 6, limited social and recreational opportunities. Another tough reality of living in a nursing home is the limited social and recreational opportunities available. When I first moved here, I expected there would be a wide range of activities, exercise classes, arts and crafts, group outings, and more that would keep me engaged and connected. But what I've learned is that these activities can often feel repetitive, lack variety, and sometimes aren't as stimulating as I hoped. Most nursing homes try to offer some form of entertainment, but with so many residents and limited resources, the options can be pretty basic and don't always cater to everyone's interests. The schedule here usually revolves around a few set activities: bingo, a movie night, or maybe a sing-along. While these things can be enjoyable from time to time, they quickly become monotonous. It's the same activities every week, and there's little room for creativity or personal interests. For someone like me who loves to read, write, or even explore more active hobbies, the lack of variety can be frustrating. It's easy to feel like you're stuck in a routine that doesn't inspire you. Over time, that lack of mental and physical stimulation can start to take a toll on your well-being. The effect on mental health can be significant. Without enough meaningful activities, it's easy to feel like you're just passing the time rather than living. Social isolation can become more pronounced because the same people you interact with daily are often participating in the same limited activities. This lack of variety doesn't just affect your mood, it can also lead to feelings of depression or anxiety. Engaging in activities that challenge the mind and body is essential for maintaining a sense of purpose and joy. When that's not available, it's easy to feel disconnected from the world outside. But there are ways to make things better, both individually and within the community. One thing I've done is try to bring some variety into my own life. I've started reading more, engaging in puzzles or games on my own, and even suggesting new activities to the staff. While it's not always easy to make changes, sometimes small shifts can make a big difference. If the facility allows it, residents can also create their own clubs or interest groups, like book clubs, gardening, or even a simple walking group if there's enough interest. If you're in a similar situation, don't be afraid to ask for more diverse activities or to organize something on your own. A little initiative can go a long way toward improving the overall experience. For nursing homes, I would recommend they try to offer a wider range of activities that cater to different interests. Maybe bringing in guest speakers, offering creative workshops, or having more outdoor excursions. The staff can also do more to engage residents in individual hobbies and interests, rather than relying on the same few group activities. The more variety and engagement they can provide, the more it will improve the quality of life for everyone involved. In the end, the lack of exciting, stimulating activities in nursing homes is a real issue. If you're considering moving into one, it's something worth thinking about. Being isolated in a place that doesn't offer variety can have a serious impact on your mental and emotional health. So it's crucial to find ways to stay engaged, both individually and as a community. Conclusion. So there you have it, 6 hard truths about life in a nursing home that no one really talks about. While there are definitely moments of comfort and care, there are also challenges that can take a toll on your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. If you're considering this step for yourself or a loved one, it's important to keep these realities in mind. Thanks so much for watching and listening to my experience. If you found this video helpful or eye-opening, don't forget to leave a comment below. Let me know if you agree with any of these truths, or if you have your own experiences to share. Comment 1 if you found some of these things to be true for you, or 0 if you've had a different experience. I'd love to hear from you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.